So Tucker Carlson posted on Twitter announcing that he's going to be back even sooner than many of us thought. I personally thought that it would be at least a couple of months before Tucker Carlson would announce what his next venture is. Because when you separate from a corporation like Fox News, especially when the separation isn't exactly friendly, when you've been fired and you retain a lawyer and there's obviously going to be a lawsuit and there's a contract that you want to get out of the exclusivity if you're Tucker, and Fox News doesn't want you out of the exclusivity because they want your viewership for the 2024 election. I thought, well, this litigation is going to take a long time and it's going to be a couple of months before we know what Tucker is going to do next. Well, apparently I was incorrect on this. Tucker Carlson posted on Twitter and announced where he is going to bring his show. Take a listen to this.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. You often hear people say the news is full of lies, but most of the time that's not exactly right. Much of what you see on television or read the New York Times is in fact true in the literal sense. It could pass one of the media's own fact checks. Lawyers would be willing to sign off on it. In fact, they may have. But that doesn't make it true. It's not true. At the most basic level, the news you consume is a lie of the stealthiest and most insidious kind. Facts have been withheld on purpose, along with proportion and perspective. You are being manipulated. How does that work? Let's see. If I tell you that a man has been unjustly arrested for armed robbery, that is not, strictly speaking, a lie. He may have been framed. At this point, there's been no trial, so no one can really say. But if I don't mention the fact that the same man has been arrested for the same crime 6 times before, am I really informing you? No, I'm not. I'm misleading you. And that's what the news media are doing in every story that matters, every day of the week, every week of the year. What's it like to work in a system like that? After more than 30 years in the middle of it, we could tell you stories. The best you can hope for in the news business at this point is the freedom to tell the fullest truth that you can. But there are always limits. And you know that if you bump up against those limits often enough, you will be fired for it. That's not a guess, it's guaranteed. Every person who works in English language media understands that. The rule of what you can't say defines everything. It's filthy, really, and it's utterly corrupting. You can't have a free society if people aren't allowed to say what they think is true. Speech is the fundamental prerequisite for democracy. That's why it's enshrined in the first of our constitutional amendments. Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter, where we are now. Twitter has long served as the place where our national conversation incubates and develops. Twitter is not a partisan site. Everybody's allowed here, and we think that's a good thing. And yet, for the most part, the news that you see analyzed on Twitter comes from media organizations that are themselves thinly disguised propaganda outlets. You see it on cable news, you talk about it on Twitter. The result may feel like a debate, but actually the gatekeepers are still in charge. We think that's a bad system. We know exactly how it works, and we're sick of it. Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about. But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others. See you soon.
Okay, I have many, many thoughts on this. First of all, I'm just delighted that Tucker is not going to be silenced for many months. Not that I expected him to sit out for the 2024 election. I knew that he would get a lawyer. I figured he would get out of his exclusivity clause of his contract because there's no way he's sitting out for 2024. But I'm delighted that he's back. I'm also delighted by the idea that he is going to put his new show on Twitter. I think that this increases the value of Twitter, not just the monetary value, although it probably does increase the monetary value of Twitter. It increases the value of Twitter when it comes to political discussion and political debate. All of our tweets, all of our interaction, more people are going to take part in political discussion on Twitter if Tucker Carlson's show is airing on Twitter.